Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to attract sellers with your marketing, and I'm going to break down why your current marketing isn't attracting any listings. We're going to go over the 3 types of content that attracts sellers every single time. Let's jump into it. What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 394 of the Massive Agent Podcast. I am your host, Dustin Brohm, here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Let's jump into it. You want sellers, you want listings, yet your marketing is not attracting them because so many agents do marketing and put out messages that you don't realize it's not even appealing to homeowners. It's not appealing to sellers. It's meant for buyers, but it's not meant to get listings. It's not structured that way. So you have to do content, you have to do marketing and put stuff out there that does appeal to homeowners, but in a way that makes them want to not just sell their house, but sell their house with you. And so I'm going to break this down today. It's pretty simple. I think a lot of you are going to be kind of pissed. You're like, why didn't I realize this? Some of you are so close with your marketing. You're putting out great stuff, but how do I put this? You're telling people and teaching people, hey, it's actually a good time to sell, and here's some ways to do it. But then they go find someone else to list with. And that's what we're going to fix today, because sellers, I don't know if you know this, sellers are way more likely to hire someone that they've used before. All right, so here's the stats here. According to NAR, a 2023 NAR profile of home buyers and sellers, 63% of sellers used an agent that they had worked with before or who was referred to them by a friend, neighbor, or relative. 63% of sellers use someone that they've already used or was referred to them, okay? 38% of buyers do. Only 38% of buyers used an agent they've worked with previously. So sellers are way more likely to hire someone based on trust, familiarity, over skill, internet presence, brand, right? So that's just the way it is. Buyers are usually starting their journey online, like on Zillow, on Redfin, or whatever. They reach out to whoever agent is listing the house. They work with whoever responds first. I mean, and look, there's gold in that. If you're that buyer's agent that can meet those demands, fantastic. But if you are trying to fill your pipeline with sellers and with listings, you've got to do shit different, because 63% of them are not looking for an agent, that they already have someone in mind, or they're just going to, their neighbor's going to refer somebody. So how do we break through that? Well, let's break this down. Okay, first off is understanding that it's a different game to attract sellers than to attract buyers. It's a lot easier to attract a buyer with your marketing. And that's why so much of our marketing as agents is just like buyer facing, even though you don't realize it. Well, you're going to realize it today. You've got to talk to homeowners. Then not just anybody. You need to talk to homeowners. You need to do content that appeals to them. Let's start with, I promised you 3 types of content that always attracts listings. Content type number 1, what's my home worth content? Okay, now this in and of itself is not enough, and I'll explain why, but it starts here. Okay, so content type number 1, what's my home worth content, AKA market education. So the goal is to make sellers curious about how much equity they have, or make them aware of, holy crap, they're sitting on a bunch of equity that they didn't realize. And it gets them thinking about their timing of when they're going to sell and move on and upgrade and all that stuff. So here's some examples of what's my home worth content. You put this out in an email. This could be a video. This could be whatever. But here's the concept. Homes in your area are selling for $47K more than 6 months ago, and here's why. So give a very specific number, not 50K, not 30K, 47. Right? Or 23 or whatever. Make it very specific so that it doesn't sound like it's just this rounded off number. Okay. So use an odd number ideally, but also make sure it's accurate or, within the ballpark, and you can make a case that that's an accurate number. So homes in your area are selling for $47K more than 6 months ago. And here's why. That creates some curiosity with sellers. Wait, my home's worth $47K more than it was 6 months ago. I'd like to know why. And they may not even be thinking of selling, but then once they're like, wait a minute, this actually, I didn't think selling was a good idea in this market because of everything that I see on CNN or whatever. And it gets them rethinking that. The next idea for what's my home worth content, thinking of selling in 2025, here's what's happening with prices right now. So that's just a market update, but it's geared towards sellers. Here's what's happening with prices. Here's what's happening with home values. Not just, hey, here's homes that are on the market, right? One appeals to buyers. The homes that are available appeals to buyers. The price you can get for the home appeals to a homeowner, appeals to a seller. So it's a subtle difference, I know, but if you want sellers, you have to speak the language. You have to put out shit that's appealing to sellers. And the last idea here, how much equity do you really have? Here's how to find out with a Zillow Zestimate. Or here's why your Zillow Zestimate is wrong. Or here's why your home is worth way more than the Zestimate. Here's why the Zillow Zestimate is leading you astray. Any of those things, that's a great hook to get people to start thinking about, wait a minute, I wonder what the true value of my home is. Maybe I do need to talk to an actual agent who runs real numbers and actually runs comparables and blah, 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 blah. Right? So super educational, gets them thinking. A great way to do this, what's my home worth content, just get them curious and say, hey, for a free home evaluation, DM me the word value, DM me the word increase, whatever. This could be email, this could be social media post, whatever it is. So DM me the word value and I'll run a no pressure custom equity report for you and let you know what your house is worth in today's market under today's market conditions. You guys get the point? Now, number one is not sufficient because it can't be all that you do is what I'm saying. Type number one, what's my home worth content? If that's all you do, you're educating sellers. And then you know that 63% of them, based on the stats, aren't going to use you. They're not looking for a new agent. So you're just educating someone else's clients. That's fine, just not ideal. So if you want to really get those sellers educated and coming to you, you've got to do a little bit more. So it starts with bucket number one, what's my home worth content, and continues with type number two. Okay, bucket number two, seller focused behind the scenes content. In other words, show the process of selling. Position yourself as the expert that knows what the hell you're doing and what should be done and which strategies should be followed. And exactly, hey, if you paint the front door, it leads to a higher home value because of increased curb appeal, for example. Or if you add some smart home devices, a Nest thermostat, smart door locks, smart garage door opener, blah, 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 it increases your home value about this much based on this study. Right? So giving away little like home value increase tips is part of it. But then just showing and documenting what you do, or what, not just what you do necessarily, but what is involved with selling a house. Show people you behind the scenes selling someone's house, not just you putting the sign in the yard, but what do you go through to get the sign in the yard? What do you go through to get that sign with a freaking sold sticker on it? Document the process of selling, because then you position yourself as the expert. And if someone is even remotely thinking about looking for someone who's credible to hire, you stick out, you stand out. So for some examples, here's what really happens between listing day and closing day. And you can talk about stories, you can give case studies, you can give specific examples of deals you've done, issues that come up, things that sellers aren't prepared for that happen regularly that they should be prepared for. One of those instances, teach them that they should be getting an inspection before they even list it, so that when the buyer comes and has their inspection, they're not surprised by a bunch of bullshit. So if they're like, hey, there's this electrical issue and there's a leaky, the shingles need replacement because the roof's leaking, you can just fix it now before it hits the market, and just less surprises later on. So that's one of those things. And you teach them what happens when a buyer comes in, they do their inspection, they beat the house up. They're like, this place is about to fall apart within hours. It's the worst house ever based on the 132-page inspection report and all the infrared and all the bullshit, right? All the moisture reading stuff. Those things can look scary to a seller, right? And to a buyer especially, like, oh my gosh, this house is going to implode within minutes. So just reduce that happening. So teach the sellers the importance of that, and teach them before they're your client. Don't wait until they're your client. Just all your good stuff, teach it now. If you want people to hire you, give your best stuff away for free, because then they think, if this is what Agent Johnny is giving away for free, I can only imagine what he does for his clients. If he's this knowledgeable with me and I'm not even his client, I imagine this type of service and experience I'll have if I actually hire Agent Johnny. Give your best shit away for free. Stop keeping it for your clients, or else you'll never have any. Another example, 3 things most agents forget to do when putting their house on the market. What do they forget to do? What are some of those things? A day in the life of prepping a listing. What sellers don't see but need to. When you just show the process and teach on how this all works, you position yourself as trusted and credible. And sellers want that. So if you're getting them off the fence with the what's my home worth content, getting them interested in, oh, maybe we should sell, and then you position yourself as the expert, now they're thinking, okay, not only do I want to sell, but I want to sell with that person. They want to sell with you instead of just cousin Sally that got their license 3 weeks ago. And we all know cousin Sally. So a day in the life of prepping a listing, what the sellers don't see but need to. I already read that one. You get the point. Look, when you do content like this, emails, social posts, videos, they build trust, they build credibility, and they reduce objections like, do I even need a realtor? Should I just list it myself to save money? When you start to show just how complicated it can be behind the scenes and all the expertise you bring to the table, they start to realize, wait, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. If I listed it myself, I would never have known that. I wouldn't know about the seller disclosures. I wouldn't know about this and the inspection up front and blah, 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 blah. So teach them. It starts to position you as the one they want to hire because they didn't realize how complicated it was until you showed them, and then you showed yourself overcoming them as the expert. Game over. Well, then it goes into type number 3. If they haven't hired you yet with doing the seller-focused behind-the-scenes content, with type number 3, they sure as shit will. Seller-focused storytelling, aka proof and possibility. Proof and possibility. So this inspires action through relatable stories of past clients. Not past clients, clients. There's no such thing as a past client. Someone that you've sold a house for before is still your client. So the goal here is to make people relate to you and want to work with you based on you just telling some freaking stories. So this family, an example of that, this family almost sold for sale by owner until they saw the real numbers. Well, if you're kind of on the fence and you're like, I don't really need a realtor. I keep seeing all this shit online about realtors are overpaid and they don't really do much. They just like open doors and blah, blah, blah. And then they see that. They're like, wait a minute. They almost sold for sale by owner, but then they saw the real numbers and decided not to. What are the real numbers? What do I need to know about these numbers? What are my numbers? Generates insane curiosity, but positions you as the expert. Another example, we listed on Friday, had 12 showings by Sunday, and we're under contract by Monday. Here's the strategy we used to do it. Here's the strategy we used to get under contract in 48 hours. And then show the strategy. Show what you did marketing-wise. Don't hold it back. Again, if you hold your best stuff back, you won't have any clients to use it on. Share your best stuff. Share literally every part of your marketing plan that you do for a seller to get a listing ready or a pre-open house or whatever. Share it all because somebody watching it is going to see it and be like, wait, that's a lot. First off, that's a lot of work. Second of all, that's really good. Holy shit, they do a lot. When I sell my house, I want that person to hire me. That's what they're thinking. Like, that's amazing because most agents don't go through every single little detail and share it. You're just like, we'll sell it for $30,000 more than everybody else, blah, blah, blah. And you're I heard someone say this the other day. I think it might've been Byron Lazine, but you're buying, there's so many agents that just go into a listing and you're buying the listing by just giving them a high number, and sellers are falling for it. So there's an idea. Teach a seller that, hey, if you have an agent come in and they'll just say, hey, we'll sell it for this, and it's a super high number, make sure they can back that shit up. Because if it's just a high number, we all know what's going to happen. It's going to sit on the market. There's going to be a ton of price reductions. There's going to be a ton of stress. There's going to be a ton of, anger and resentment that the seller has toward the agent that said we could sell it for $700 when it ends up only selling for $610. We've all seen that before. So teach them that happens. Teach them that there's agents out there that'll just try to buy the listing by telling them a high number and they have no way to back it up whatsoever. But you, on the other hand, will only tell them the truth, even if it's not what they want to hear. The right people will hire you based on that. Last example here. Here's how I helped a client sell their starter home and move into their forever home without moving twice. Moving twice is a huge fear of sellers, right? They don't want to have to move twice. I don't want to have to move once. Moving once sucks. But if you're going to sell and then buy, you don't want to have to move twice. It's insane. So teach them how you do that. What's your strategy behind it? How do you ensure that this happens? Teach them about seller leasebacks, about extended possession times and all that stuff. Like, teach them the different strategies you use, and when you teach, they'll want more of it. People will hire someone who teaches because they're like, wait, this person's an authority figure. They're credible. They're teaching me stuff. They obviously know their shit. I don't think cousin Sally that got her license 3 weeks ago knows this stuff yet, so I'm going to hire you. Use face-to-camera storytelling or reels with on-screen text, with music, with captions. Honestly, use any freaking format you need. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just talk to the camera and teach. And if you can show some visuals, that's even better. Break it down in an email blast that you do. Hey, here's our 3-step pre-listing marketing plan that we do. And then you just, step 1, we do this, then we do this, then we do this. We even pay for your inspection up front when you list with us. Here's why that's important. Here's what that'll do for you. Here's how that avoids a ton of heartache later on. Let's recap the 3 buckets, shall we? So the 3 types of content that appeal to sellers and get them wanting to work with you. What's my homework content? Seller-focused behind-the-scenes content, and then seller-focused storytelling. Tell stories that teach sellers about what other sellers have gone through, problems, issues, mistakes, how to overcome them, what they should do instead. That will put you in a position to get a ton of listings, not just here's a list of open houses this weekend. If you're putting out stuff like that, that's fine. Like, I'm not mad at you for doing buyer-focused content, but I think a lot of you don't realize it's only attracting buyers. When you put out open houses this weekend, that's mostly attracting buyers. And yes, I understand a lot of sellers are also buyers. I get it. But you need to speak directly to a seller if you want them to branch out. Like that stat, 63% of sellers end up using someone they already know. You got to bust through that. And you bust through that by doing the type of content that we're talking about. So I hope this helps. Make sure that you really, if you want to attract listings, bottom line is this. Before you come up with a video idea, before you come out with a post, just think to yourself, is this really going to appeal to a homeowner? Will they actually learn something from this? Will they want to hear it in the first place? Will they find it interesting? Will they find it helpful? Does this even appeal to homeowners, or does it appeal to buyers? Ask yourself that question. And as you start to do more seller-focused content on a regular basis, you position yourself as a selling agent, and you're going to attract more listings. So have fun with it. Have fun with it. Get creative. Have fun. I hope this helps. Before we wrap it up, shout out to Keeping Current Matters, our partners that keep the show running. KCM is an incredible, basically it's an army of housing experts and economists in your back pocket, telling you everything you need to know about what is happening today in the market, what's going to happen in the market, in order to make you a valued advisor to your clients. So if you can show yourself as this prognosticator and be the adult in the room that, hey, even though interest rates are high, here's what's happening, and here's what's happening with prices, and here's what's about to happen, and here's what it means to you as a seller, here's what it means if you're a flipper. People want to work with you. So become the advisor by using Keeping Current Matters. KCM is the tool that every agent needs in their tool belt if you want to be credible locally. I mean, all the top producers in your area already use it. Just go to trykcm.com/BAM and try it out, and then level up your business today with BAMX courses, masterminds, a network, business in a box, content ideas delivered every single week. BAMX is an incredible value. Join BAMX today over at massiveagentsociety.com/BAMX. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you had a great, what was I going to say? A great 4th of July, a great Independence Day. That was last week. But nonetheless, have a great one. Go sell some houses. Go get some sellers with your marketing, and let me know how it works for you. If you found this episode valuable, share it with someone. Share it with an agent. Put it in your story. Send an email blast. Put it out there within your internal Facebook group in your brokerage. Share it with other agents. It doesn't take anything away from you. It actually serves you by helping other agents who may be stuck. So let's help reach them with stuff that's going to get them unstuck. Thank you for listening. I'll see you guys next week.